It's time for the movie rate, movie review, and tonight I'm going to talk about The Bouncer, which is heavily involved with Mr. John Ozuna, who is an actor and martial artist, and he also stars in this film, also with actor Costas. If you haven't seen his work, check out the later Saw films. You know what I'm talking about, if you know what I'm talking about. So, the story takes place about a guy who is taking a job as a bouncer, who is previously in other kind of past jobs like security mostly, and he has also had a trouble past with other people, and he's just down on his luck, and so he takes this job at the strip club, or a very popular club in general. It's one of those mixed type of entertainment type of clubs, and a very high profile one. So he takes this job there, and then he sees this woman who is kind of abused by her, let's just say, companion, a very wealthy companion, and is also known and feared in the community, at least in the local area. And so he does nothing about it. He has to let it go, and then at some point he gets tired of it. I mean, because trouble hits hard, and he saves her from being killed, basically. However, that was kind of a mistake, because now that big shot mobster guy who wants to basically reclaim his property, so to speak, and so he basically chases John Ozuna's character basically all over town, wanting to kill him and do anything it takes. So I will say, as far as the story goes, it does have a decent running wise. Like, I like the fact that this takes place with a guy who, he messed up in his life. Like, we all make mistakes, or we all screw up, and at this point, there's a guy who is just trying to make money. He's just trying to be a better person, trying to just do whatever it takes to just live in decent fashion like anybody else would want to. Until that one moment, until that one decision that he makes, and, kind of puts him in severe hot water without realizing that he's in some serious trouble now. And I really like that, the fact that he's a bouncer. He's not this special ops. He's not a FBI agent. He's not these high-profiled, in some cases over the edge, over the top type of authority figures. But even though he's skilled in what he does, martial arts, he does perform his martial arts in the story. I wish there was a little bit more of it, to be honest. But we also see the innocence of his character, and that he's not this I'm gonna save everybody type of thing. He has a good nature quality to his character, but also sympathetic in a way. Like, we see just that innocence, that he doesn't know what to do in this situation. Now that he basically stepped on the wrong toes, on somebody. Now he has no idea what to do. He doesn't know that many people that can help him out. He doesn't have a whole lot of resources to his availability, or at least to him. But the bad guy in this film has all the resources, and that's what I like about that too. The duality between one that doesn't have any resources to give him some kind of an edge against the main villain of this story, while the other character, the villain, who has all the resources he could possibly get to try to eliminate his target or his threat and reclaim what is his, according to him. And I like that very much. I like the action involved in this movie. I think it's, pretty crazy. And I want to also point out, I really enjoyed the locations that's shot in this movie. I like that the nightlife, it's very vibrant, it's very busy, it's not empty. I see so many films, action films, that have like nothing going on, like no people in the background, no cars, no anything, and that's what I call space films, spacey films. And this is not a spacey film, for the most part, because we see John Ozuna's character and his recently acquired companion, just playing a cat and mouse game with this villain and trying to escape him and trying to find something or someone that can give him some form of advantage against this character, which I really, really enjoy. I just wish there was more action involved, or more involvement with the main villain as far as, him meeting halfway there, and to a degree, we do see him kind of beat him a little bit as far as him, John Ozuna's character not escaping, but we do see a battle scene. We do see John pretty much just kicking butt everywhere, and I really like the gunplay is cool too, but I do love Costa's good choice picking the right guy for this kind of role. I mean, he's intimidating looking in this movie. Costa is like, wow, like just looking at him, man, he doesn't have to do anything. That's what I like about that. He doesn't really do much physically in this movie, but he knows, like, he's the brains of the operation is on his character, and he's very intimidating, very menacing to the people around him, because he has the money, he's got the power, and he's got the manpower for certain. Come on, this guy has his own chopper. What does John Ozuna's character have? Whatever vehicle he can find or steal to get this girl out of harm's way. And I think you guys will like this movie, because this is something that doesn't have like kind of a huge budget, but definitely well shot, and definitely well placed where the action should be. And it follows. You follow, not just it follows the storyline, but you follow them, the main characters, what's going on, and it's a good action film. I really enjoyed. I think, like I said, I think there should be more action involved with this movie between characters. I think that like a little bit more involvement from the enemies, kind of mix it up a little bit, But on the another positive side about this is that John Ozuna's character does take the beating, does almost kind of lose control of the situation. Like, he doesn't know what to do at this point. His character even says that when asked, well, where we're going to go now. He doesn't know. That's the best part about this good guy character. He doesn't know what to do. He's just winging it. He's just trying to figure out where to go next. And when he does figure out where to go next, but unfortunately, that main guy, the big boss man, he kind of figures out the angle, because if he goes this direction, he knows that they're going to come from that direction, So, this little mouse trying to find that cheese is very complex, But I would have to say, if I were to rank this out of 10, I'm definitely going to give a 7.6 out of 10, because it does have the action. It could use more action. That's my only real complaint, if you want to consider that as a complaint. But more of a suggestion, really, man. Give us more action. But it does have some good action involved. It's got some good moves by John Ozuna himself, and he plays this role very well. Now, John Ozuna, who has played many other martial arts types of characters, like he always displays his skills all the time, and even very large budget movies, Hollywood films as well. He doesn't really divert away from his character on this. Like I said, we see what his goal is. We see the drive of that character, and we see that he utilizes his skills. You kind of just see that he doesn't want to really hurt anybody per se. He's just trying to make a couple bucks like normal, but it's not like nobody screwed up his life or anything like that in this process of the story. He just ended up, his good conscience kind of took over and thought he was doing the right thing. And, like I said, he pissed off the wrong guy, a guy who's got some big guns, and, here we are, on the run, So I think that it's a decent action movie for sure. I think you guys might like this, especially if you've seen John Ozuna's roles, or at least have paid attention to his martial arts skills in these films for the most part. I think you'll enjoy it. But like I said, he does a good job with this character. Again, it shows the innocence. It shows that he's a good guy. It shows that he's just doing what he can. And I love the fact that, again, this character that he plays is not fully equipped in the situation. There's so many situations in these action films that the good guy always has some big edge over the bad guy or whatever the situation might be. And I hate having to always see that. I mean, I want to see something different, and this is a little different. This is called the Bouncer. That's what what this character is. And just some bouncer, and think of like Die Hard in a way. You got this New York cop, right? He's just an average Joe cop, just, battling every bad guy he possibly can, put him in the slammer as much as he could. And then here he gets thrown in the situation by, being up in this heist, they was unaware of until they make themselves, heard in this film. And here we go, John McClane just ends up being this hero. He wasn't always a hero, like, per se, in that sense. He was just doing his job as a cop. But in this case, here's John McClane being a hero, and not being an intentional hero. So, as far as the Bouncer goes, he's not an intentional hero, He's just this guy who, just wants to help a person out from, in a bad situation, and the situation just got bigger than him. So, yeah, definitely. I definitely give, like I said, 7.7 out of 10. So, check it out. It might be on Tubi, whatever independent streaming services. It could be out on shelves for all we know at this point. But check it out. It's called The Bouncer.